The Premier League continues to be highly entertaining. Manchester City continues to be humble, while Liverpool continues to take high-risk gambles, and it pays off for them. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Into the Net FC. My name is AlexAlKazzaz, and I'm also known as the Bear of Texas. And what a week in the return of domestic play after the recent international break. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the beginning, the Premier League continues to be entertaining. I'll never forget, starting this show 4 years ago, when my good friend and my mentor, Mr. Steve Adams, advised me that the Premier League would be so entertaining that I would be hungry all the time to come here on the show to talk about it. I would honestly lack the patience because I would be so anxious just to get started. And ladies and gentlemen, Steve was absolutely right. Well, as I said, I guess I should go ahead and start with I should definitely go ahead and start with Liverpool's high-risk gambles that continue to pay off. Now, in a conversation I had earlier with my good friend from Liverpool, Mr. Paul Wayne, I reminded him that there's been a lot of Liverpool fans that have said to me, in respect, Alex or Bearman or Bear of Texas, if you're going to continue to be a little bit critical of how Liverpool's been struggling, even though they've been winning, you better be as critical as Manchester City, which I have. So I was going to take the moment to obviously shout out to those Liverpool fans that have reached out to me. And honestly, at the end of the day, by them checking on me like this, that means that they care about this show and that they've been listening. All right. Well, to get started with Liverpool, obviously Mohamed Salah scoring a brace and was actually this close to scoring a hat-trick. That kind of bummed me out a little bit. Because seeing Mohamed Salah score a hat-trick is just one of the most beautiful things you could ever see in football of this generation. Mohamed Salah is just absolutely one of a kind. As I've described him on this program many, many times, a million times to be exact, a unique and prolific goal scorer. Oh boy. Alright, well, to get started on this one, Liverpool with a 3-2 win over Southampton. You see, after this game was over, I talked about this with my friend Paul, who's from Liverpool. And as Paul said, Alex, you can say whatever you want about the struggles, the inconsistency, and whatnot, but Paul kindly reminded me, like those Liverpool fans, that the bottom line is Liverpool is finding ways to win. They are continuing to find ways to win, and that's what they did against Southampton, because keep in mind, this win over Southampton was come from behind. Now, to Southampton's credit, we have to give them credit for the fact that this was a losing effort on their end. Southampton gave Liverpool all that they had. And unfortunately, the best they had was just simply not enough. But again, Southampton is the worst team in the Premier League, and they give Liverpool a good run for their money, losing only 3-2, and again, at one point, was even in the lead. Not only did they take the lead, but at one point, Southampton actually scored 2 straight goals to make it 2-1 in their end after they were trailing 1-0, basically after 30 minutes in the game. So who else again but Mohamed Salah to score, to basically level the game and to score the game winner. And of course, the game winner off of a penalty, which was beautifully taken. The Southampton goalie had no chance in hell to stop that. Now, to the credit, the first goal, well, certainly caught by surprise. I think the first goal that allowed Liverpool to take the lead was off of a serious blunder committed by Southampton. Now, Southampton equalizing originally off of a penalty, but it was saved. But since the ball was still loose and it was still a live play, Southampton found a way to still get it done, even though the penalty was initially denied, but they were able to finish strong. That's something that's very, very rarely done against Liverpool. And about 11 minutes into the second half, Fernandes scores for Southampton to give him the lead by Armstrong, who scored the first goal. And that second goal by Southampton that gave him the lead, now that was a thing of absolute beauty. Now, unfortunately, that lead was short-lived because about 10 minutes later, Mohamed Salah scored with an assist from Gravenberch. Just as I talked about how Southampton's goal was beautiful, Liverpool finds a way to score in yet another unique and prolific way. Again, Mohamed Salah in a nutshell. And then about 18 minutes later, Mohamed Salah scores the penalty. That's the game winner, and that's it. Man, So again, to talk about these, these gambles. Guess how many shots, ladies and gentlemen? Guess how many shots Liverpool had on target? 11. 11 of them, and they made 3 of them count. So again, a losing effort on Southampton for the Southampton goalie to make all those saves. Liverpool scores 3 goals off of out of 3 shots. Out of 11 shots on target. So once again, to bring up the inconsistencies and the wasted scoring opportunities that have been a huge problem for Liverpool all season. But again, I can mention that all I want. But what's the point, ladies and gentlemen? The point is Liverpool finds a way. So that's what makes it so entertaining, right? Especially in Liverpool's case. A total of 27 goal attempts by Liverpool and 11 shots on target. So again, for Southampton, I can't stress this one enough. This is a losing effort. Southampton had 5 shots on target of their own. They made 2 of them count. I wonder if the penalty miss was actually 1 shot on target and then the other shot immediately was another one. Not too sure about that, but still, Southampton, made it entertaining. Southampton actually looked really, really good. Now, both teams committed 1 defensive error. That 1 defensive error, I think, is what led to Liverpool taking the lead in the 30th minute by Szoboszlai. Again, I hope I'm saying that correct. But as far as the defensive error goes, I would imagine when Southampton took the 2-1 lead, that was certainly the defensive error on Liverpool's end. But hey, once again, to solidify the losing effort in the case of Southampton, Southampton's defense had 33 clearances and their goalie had 8 saves. 8 saves. And 26 clearances by Liverpool and 3 saves by their goalie. So Southampton, despite being the worst team in the Premier League, again, they gave Liverpool, the fact is, the worst team in the English Premier League challenged the best team in the English Premier League. So you have the club at the bottom challenging the first place team and really actually giving them a true run for their money. 26 interceptions by Southampton and only 4 by Liverpool. You see, y'all, the adrenaline, the excitement, the anxiousness of getting the chance to talk about Premier League action. Again, my friend and my buddy, Mr. Steve Adams, I should say, my friend and my mentor, Mr. Steve Adams, predicted this when I started this program 4 years ago. That's been the case, the entire ride, but, sometimes things are so entertaining. And when you get more passionate about it, well, that adrenaline, that anxiousness, well, it only continues to grow. Right, Steve? Anyway. So that does it for the stats. So before we move on to the next game, let's take a quick look at the lineups now, shall we? Yeah, well, Kelleher continuing to be a goalie for Liverpool. As far as Becker goes, I'm not sure exactly how much longer he'll be out, but Kelleher has been doing a fantastic job filling in. Of course, who else but Virgil van Dijk to captain the team? Virgil van Dijk, in the backfield alongside Bradley, Konate, and Robertson. And then in the midfield, Arne Slot had Curtis Jones and Gravenberch. And then the 3 forwards, Mohamed Salah, Szoboszlai, and Cody Gakpo, and Darwin Núñez deployed as the sole number 9 striker. So 4 defenders, 2 midfielders, 3 forwards, and a striker for Liverpool. And Southampton counters with 5 defenders, 4 midfielders, and 1 lone striker. That really is quite a judgment call by Southampton, to kind of go that way. At that point, in order for them to counter Liverpool's brutal offensive attack, Southampton had to utilize 5 defenders and 4 midfielders. They had to give Liverpool all sorts of trouble, and they did, but Liverpool still actually came out on top. So, gotta give it to Southampton again. For the team that's the worst in the league. Well, hey, they made this game interesting. So, I think Southampton only has 1 win to their credit so far, but I think this loss to Liverpool was actually the 10th loss so far this season for Southampton. So, Liverpool versus Southampton, well, very, very entertaining. All right. Well, my friend Joe Mavor is not going to be too particularly pleased about me talking about this show. But then again, Joe Mavor, who's been with me since the beginning, although he's yet to actually appear on this show, I know that he's listened to the show many, many times. Joe actually told me, and he made me promise him, that I would not sugarcoat anything, even if it meant being critical of Manchester City, if it was deserved and if it was justified. Now, uh, not to Joe's credit. I mean, Joe agrees. We have a lot of respect and passion for the game. You're going to simply tell it like it is, and so obviously Joe is not happy about Tottenham's 4-0 win over Manchester City, especially the fact that this took place in Manchester at the Etihad Stadium. Now, to Joe's credit, I mean, he's had to deal with several Manchester United fans trolling him, but then again, hey, Manchester United fans have they have no bragging rights whatsoever. I mean, they want to bring up the FA Cup victory from last season. Well, you know what? At this point, it's pretty irrelevant. Now, speaking of Manchester City, now again, Joe Mavor actually runs a show. He's part of a show called the Snobby Boys Podcast, which is actually a very, very fantastic show. I would really love to have Joe and his co-host. I always forget the dude's name, and I apologize for that. I would really love to have Joe and his main co-host of the Snobby Boys Podcast on the show. So definitely will happen eventually. But Tottenham, man. Well, I should mention Manchester City is on a 5-game losing streak now, and this is a streak that actually began last month. It's actually been nearly a month since Manchester City has actually won a game. Period. Southampton was actually the last team Manchester City beat, and they narrowly beat them when Erling Haaland scored a goal, I think, within the first 5 minutes, and then after that, there was no goal after that. And then they lose to Tottenham in the EFL Cup round of 16 on the 30th of last month. And then that 4-1 win over Sporting CP in the Champions League, that 2-1 loss to Brighton, that 2-1 loss to Bournemouth, and now this 4-0 loss to Tottenham. This is actually the first time in Pep Guardiola's career as a manager that he has lost 5 straight games. Not to mention, I think Pep Guardiola just signed a new deal, if I'm correct. According to my friend Paul, he actually signed on for another year. I actually did not look at the details. Did not look into the details. Although the Associated Press says that it's a 2-year extension, but and of course ManchesterCity.com confirmed that it is actually a 2-year contract, but. Of course, ESPN confirms, BBC confirms, Manchester City FC confirms, and of course, Sky Sports. So it's just funny that in the midst of a 4-0 loss, this is actually about 3 days ago, as I'm reading this, Pep Guardiola signs his contract extension, and then Manchester City loses 4-0 to Tottenham. Man, who would have saw that? Who would have saw that coming? Because I did say that after the international break that Manchester City would turn things around. Man, and for Tottenham, I mean, not again, like I said last month, Tottenham eliminated Manchester City from the EFL Cup. So now we see Manchester City lose 4-0 at home. Now again, I mean, everybody's going to bring up the fact that Manchester City is dealing with a lot of injuries, which I will acknowledge, and I will in fact mention. Yeah, Manchester City has a lot of injuries, especially to one of their key players in the midfield. But Pep Guardiola himself stated that he does not want to use the injuries as an excuse. I mean, a lot of people would agree because of all the talent that Manchester City has, things shouldn't be this bad. And the best part for Tottenham, all 4 goals came with an assist. So Tottenham really utilizing the brilliant art of teamwork. Now, to Tottenham's credit, 7 shots on target and making 4 of them count. And 5 shots on target for Manchester City, and none of them counted. 5 counterattacks by Tottenham, only 1 by Manchester City. 83 dangerous attacks by Manchester City, only 27 of them by Tottenham. And 23 goal attempts by Manchester City, and only 9 by Tottenham. So once again, 83 dangerous attacks by Manchester City, only 27 by Tottenham, 23 goal attempts by Manchester City, and only 9 by Tottenham. Man, 11 clearances by Tottenham's defense, and 2 by Manchester City, 5 saves by the Tottenham goalie, 3 by Manchester City, 20 defensive interceptions by Tottenham, and only 5 by Manchester City. Manchester City, well, I mean, of course, everybody brings up the whole Erling Haaland thing to stay humbled, right? I mean, I gotta tell y'all, it's just absolutely brutal. I mean, I can say it's a little bit brutal, but obviously, a couple of my buddies, especially my buddies that are Liverpool supporters, I mean, they actually did openly acknowledge that they thoroughly enjoyed seeing Tottenham get such a beating. So. I mean, for me, honestly, at the end of the day, I guess what's really good for me, I mean, this is at the expense of my friend Joe, Mr. Joe Mavor of the Snobby Boys Podcast. you know, the fact that Tottenham beats Manchester City at Etihad Stadium in Manchester 4-0, and Manchester City gets destroyed and humbled. I mean, in my case, this is a huge story, and here I am talking about it. So we'll take a look at the lineups. Well, both teams utilizing the same formation. Ange Postecoglou and Pep Guardiola somehow, someway felt that using the same exact format would actually be to good use. Now, it was up to good use for Tottenham, but for Manchester City, no, not so much. Well, of course, the front three for Manchester City, of course, you have Savinho and Phil Foden on one side, and you have Erling Haaland on the center. Behind them, you have Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, and Lewis in the midfield. In the backfield, you have Gvardiol, Akanji, Stones, and Kyle Walker, who, of course, captained the team, and Ederson as at the goalie position. Excuse me. Hiccups are kicking in. Oh, man. And other than the fact that Timo Werner is actually now with Tottenham, I mean, that was something that I had completely forgot. And as a matter of fact, I never even heard the news, to be honest with you. I never actually heard the news that Timo Werner had joined Tottenham. So now I'm asking, when did Timo Werner join Tottenham Hotspur? Because I don't know. Now, he's actually on loan, but still. I don't know, because I never paid too much attention. I mean, now it says that he's got over 20 appearances for Tottenham. How on God's green earth did I not know this? Because, for God, this happened back in January? How? Seriously, this is embarrassing, okay? This is embarrassing, okay? I'm pretty sure I might have found out way back in January, but I completely forgot. that Timo Werner is actually part of Tottenham. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is embarrassing on myself, so on the 9th of January, Timo Werner joined Tottenham on a loan till the end of this season, although it actually came with an option for a transfer for it to become permanent. So it includes an option for the transfer to become permanent at the end of the season. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure. Now, he made his debut on the 14th of January of this year. He actually provided an assist in a Bentancur's equalizer against Manchester United at Old Trafford. So, and I think back in May, Tottenham actually they extended Timo Werner's spell on the season long loan. So it also includes an option to buy clause in the region of 8.3 million euros, or British pounds, I should say, but I think it's euros. But no, that's actually British pounds. So, so I think that's why I forgot. So maybe I knew that he was on loan last season, but I never mentioned him being on loan last season. I never mentioned this thing about Timo Werner. So again, I mean, I might have known, when this move started way back in January, but I had completely forgotten about it. Some might say maybe I forgot about it because I wasn't aware. It wasn't big news that he's still with the team right now, because this was supposed to be at the end of the 2023-24 season. So yeah. So Manchester City 4-0 like that. So before I got caught up in the whole Timo Werner thing, I mean, Timo Werner actually came in as a substitute and actually provided an assist. In the last goal to Johnson. So Madison actually scored a brace in this one. Scored in the 13th minute and the 20th minute. So Tottenham had a 2-0 lead going into the half. So of course Porro made it 3-0 in the 52nd minute. So again, I can't stress enough the fact that all four of these goals, came with an assist. So Kulusevski provided the assist in the first goal, and Heung-min Son provided the assist in the second goal, and Solanke provided the assist in the third goal, and Timo Werner again, in the fourth one. So Tottenham really looked absolutely fantastic. And well, as far as of course, now I'm really itching to get into the standings, but we got to save that for last. But Manchester City, man, continues to get humbled, and well, take a quick look before we move on to this one. Manchester City plays against Feyenoord in the Champions League, but the most interesting part is that Manchester City's next game at Anfield against Liverpool next Sunday on December 1st. For me, if this game took place on Thanksgiving, man, I would consider that a huge blessing. But I get it. It's no big deal. But still, it's a game to look forward to. It's going to take place on a Sunday. It's not that far from now. But Manchester City's next game against Liverpool, man, especially with Liverpool having all these issues, especially with the goal scoring opportunities getting squandered and whatnot. Liverpool, well, I feel like if there's a moment where all the high risk gambles backfire, it could be against Manchester City. But well, we'll have to wait and see. But Liverpool has no intention of letting Manchester City take the win against them at Anfield, and Manchester City does not want to go on a 6-game losing streak. Man. Man, oh man, oh man! I'm still in absolute awe that that Manchester City would lose like this at home, but it happened. Well, I probably should get this one out of the way. Manchester United with a 1-1 draw over Ipswich Town. It's embarrassing, but I'm honestly not surprised. I mean, Ruben Amorim himself said that it's going to be a long time before things start to get good. Now, as far as I'm concerned. Even the fiercely opinionated Mr. Josh McSwain, Uncle Matt, and Rod Angeles, all three of those gentlemen who are strong supporters of Manchester United. Now they've all said that it's going to be a while before things start to kind of go good for Manchester United if things do work out for them. So, I mean, of course, one headline says Amorim has work cut out. United players let down new boss. And Amorim admits Manchester United players were afraid in Ipswich draw. I mean, all these changes, of course they were, but Manchester United just continues to be a complete and utter disappointment. But it's not like we would expect Ruben Amorim to immediately come in and make Manchester United like the strongest team ever. But hey, it honestly could have been worse. I mean, Manchester United could have lost, but the sad part is Manchester United had the lead. Took the lead within the first 2 minutes by when Marcus Rashford scored with an assist from Diallo. It wasn't until like 40 minutes later when Ipswich Town equalized. But obviously, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, like I said, it could have been worse because, believe it or not, Manchester United had 4 shots on target. But guess how many shots on target Ipswich Town had? 6. So there, I say with conviction, this honestly could have easily been worse. I mean, 4 counterattacks by Manchester United and 0 by Ipswich Town. I mean, all the good that did. I mean, both teams with a combined 22 goal attempts. That means 11 each. 46 dangerous attacks by Ipswich Town, and that's actually 15 more than Manchester United. Man, 10 clearances by the Ipswich Town defense, 5 saves by Andre Onana, and 10 interceptions by the Manchester United defense. So Manchester United obviously did not look sharp. Did not look sharp at all. But again, Ruben Amorim, I think said it's going to be it's going to be a while before things start to go good because immediately you start to make changes. The players have to try to adapt to it. So I mean, obviously we knew this wasn't going to be a quick fix. So again, Amorim said, according to ESPN, Amorim said that United is quotes. Well, I don't know if Amorim said this actually, but. Okay, yeah, ESPN said that Ruben Amorim warns of more suffering. So, yeah, this team is going to suffer because it's going to be a while for them to adapt to this new system and for them to kind of gain their composure. I shouldn't say regain because they haven't had such composure in such a long time. It's going to be a while for them to gain their composure, their vision, their aggression, their mindset as far as winning goes. I mean, it's going to be a while, so... I wouldn't expect I probably wouldn't expect Manchester United to be ready under this new system until next season, to be honest with you. So, yeah. So, Manchester City, ending a draw again, it could have been worse because, to be honest with you, Ipswich Town really should have won this game. So, again, could have been worse. Well, the lineup. Well, and the embarrassing part is, I mean, you see Manchester United's lineup, and they couldn't even get the win. And Marcus Rashford deployed on the center. Now, 3 defenders, 4 midfielders, two forwards, and a lone striker. Marcus Rashford deployed as the lone striker. Behind you have Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes. In the midfield, you have Casemiro, Eriksen, Dalot, and Diallo. And then in the backfield, you have Mazraoui, De Ligt, and Evans, and Onana at the goalie. So, This really is it really is embarrassing for Manchester United. And Ipswich Town counted with four defenders, two midfielders, three forwards, and a striker. I mean, Ipswich Town did what they had to do to combat the supposed effects of Manchester United, and they did. And Manchester United failed to get the job done. So, man, of course, my friend. So I was going back again to my friend Paul. When I said to him that that I thought that Manchester United was going to lose anyway, he gives me a smile and says, "Well, I hope so." Because I mean, Paul's a Liverpool fan, so obviously, of course, he would love to see Manchester United lose, but that's pretty much it as far as Manchester United goes. Well, Arsenal got a much needed 3-0 win over Nottingham Forest at Emirates Stadium. Seeing Bukayo Saka score again, and all these goals actually came with an assist. So, well, speaking of Bukayo Saka, it makes me very, very proud to see that he actually not only had a goal but also provided an assist, and his goal came with an assist from Martin Odegaard. So Arsenal really showed some true teamwork and some true team chemistry in this one. Arsenal, everything that had been going on with Arsenal as of late. I mean, Arsenal certainly needed this one, but of course, critics are going to say that this is nothing for Arsenal to kind of be proud of because this is against Nottingham Forest. But hey, not long ago, Nottingham Forest was actually in the top four in the Premier League, so you can't take this one away from Arsenal. Now, Arsenal, their next game is against Sporting CP on the road in the Champions League, so Arsenal's going to need that one too. And then Arsenal takes on West Ham on the 30th of November. In a London derby on the road, and then before they feature Manchester United at Emirates on the 4th of December, and then of course once again on the 11th of December, Arsenal will actually feature Monaco in a Champions League match, and that's a game I'm excited about. So Arsenal kind of basically got what they needed. They got what they needed. Now Arsenal, the previous Premier League match was a 1-1 draw against Chelsea. Before that, they lost to Inter Milan. They lost to Newcastle. And of course, there was that 2-2 draw against Liverpool, which was a highly entertaining game. So, well, I guess to kind of close it up, I guess take a quick look at the stats. Keeping a clean sheet for Arsenal was amazing. Man, 7 shots on target for the Gunners, and Nottingham Forest had 0 shots on target. So, man, some pretty respectable defense right there. Over 60 dangerous attacks by Arsenal. 17 clearances by Nottingham Forest, so we got to give him that. And 3 saves by the Nottingham Forest goalie and 9 interceptions. So a little bit of defensive effort by Nottingham Forest. Now there was 5 clearances by the Arsenal defense. No saves by the Arsenal goalie because Nottingham Forest never got a shot on target. And 6 interceptions by the Gunners defense. So, I mean, again, the Nottingham Forest defense was pretty busy, and honestly, it got badly overwhelmed. So, kind of before I move on, I want to take a quick look at the lineups. And Gabriel Jesus, in the center, in the front 3 attack. You have Trossard on one side and Bukayo Saka on the other, and behind them in the midfield, Marino, Jorginho, and Odegaard. And of course, Odegaard was the captain. Got Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Calafiori in the backfield, and Rea as the goalie. Man, always good to see William Saliba get the start. And William Saliba played the entire way. Now, Jorginho actually was substituted after the first half. Well, he did pick up a yellow card, first. So I think that move had to have been made. And but continue to see William Saliba be able to put forth his best performance ever. So. So to kind of basically like that, I mean, Nottingham Forest went with four defenders and 2 midfielders and 3 forwards and a lone striker. A little similar to what Arsenal did now, but Arsenal was 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 3 forwards, and and there were 2 midfielders by Nottingham Forest and 3 forwards and 1 lone striker for Nottingham Forest. So really kind of a game of chess in this one. So basically, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, Arsenal got the comfortable 3-0 win, and they needed it badly, and they earned it. So, and Arsenal's got a huge game coming up in the Champions League, so Arsenal's got to basically keep their they really got to keep the momentum alive. So, before I kind of get into this last game, a couple of the other scores: Wolverhampton beat Fulham 4-1. Brighton beat Bournemouth 2-1. A 0-0 draw between Everton and Brentford. A 2-2 draw between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. And last but not least, the final game I'm going to talk about is Leicester City versus Chelsea. And of course, as I'm recording this on this fine Sunday, of course, the next game is Newcastle and West Ham. But not sure if much about that as far as the top four goes. But Leicester City versus Chelsea, and Chelsea getting the 2-1 win. I mean, I think Leicester City actually sacked their manager today. So today. Well, technically not today because this game was on a Saturday. But I think after this game, Leicester City sacked their manager, I believe. Because I'm pretty sure the fiercely opinionated Mr. Josh McSwain actually talked to me about it. Yeah, Steve Cooper was actually sacked at Leicester City after only 15 games in charge. I mean, Leicester City is I believe in the relegation zone. But again, we'll save the standings for last. I mean, Chelsea winning 2-1. I mean, still, we've got to mention it for Chelsea. I mean, but Chelsea, Jackson scoring in the 15th minute and Enzo Fernandez making it 2-0 in the 75th minute. I mean, Fernandez actually provided the assist to Jackson in that goal. So Chelsea, for the most part, was kind of basically keeping things, kind of under control, despite the fact that they were missing some scoring attempts because Chelsea had 7 shots on target and they made only 2 of them count. And Leicester City had one shot on target, and they made that one count now because it was off of a penalty. I think in Chelsea's case, to be honest with you, only 6 clearances by the Chelsea defense and 13 by Leicester City because again, Chelsea was kind of missing out a lot on scoring opportunities, and the Chelsea goalie did not make any saves, and Leicester City's goalie made 4 of them, and there were 16 interceptions by the Leicester City goalie and only 4 by Chelsea. So, and 2 counterattacks by Chelsea and none by Leicester City. So, I mean, Leicester City could not get anything going on the attack. I mean, the only thing they had was just that penalty, which was successfully converted. I mean, that was the only shot on target and it counted, but still, this was off of a penalty. For Chelsea to have all that talent, but still, still be able to be a disappointment. I mean, that's the same situation with Manchester United. Now, as far as the way I see is, man, Chelsea really utilizing a formation. I don't know if I would have expected it, but but check this out. If I mean it correctly, yeah, 4 defenders, 1 midfielder, 4 forwards, and 1 lone striker. Although some would say, even though it's technically 1 midfielder, I think the 4 forwards in front of Caicedo, who is technically the only midfielder, I think the players in front of him, Palmer, Felix, Fernandez, and Madueke, sorry. I think they all technically kind of participated as midfielders as well. Maybe they did. Nicholas Jackson deployed as the sole number 9 striker. Jamie Vardy on the other side for Leicester City, of course, was the captain. He was deployed as the sole number 9 striker on his end. And behind him, you had 3 forwards, 2 midfielders, and 4 defenders. So, man, of course, the captain for Chelsea, Fernandez, scores a goal and provides an assist. I mean, very, very much right there, the duty of a captain. Of course, in the backfield, you have Cucurella, Wesley Fofana, Colwill, and Bidashiel. I mean, this is embarrassing. I can't even say this guy's name, but in this case, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I think for Leicester City, this is a losing effort as well, considering how well this defense actually played. But still, I think the lack of rhythm from the attack is, was really what was the decision. Now, again, I mean, after only 15 games, I mean, the latest manager was actually fired. I mean, being in charge for only 15 games, I mean, that's pretty bad for the manager, but that's also pretty bad for the club, if you ask me. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I'm not sure really what to make of it. I mean, before the international break, Manchester United had actually beaten Leicester City 3-0, and for that, Leicester City was held to a 1-1 draw against Leicester City. There's also that 5-2 loss to Manchester United in the Carabao Cup. Before that, there was a 3-0 loss to Nottingham Forest. I think the last win, the last win Leicester City got was actually against Southampton on the road, and before that, they actually had beaten AFC Bournemouth. So at one point, Leicester City was actually on a 2-game winning streak, but it all came crashing. It all went downhill. It all spiraled out of control. And Leicester City sacked Cooper after only 15 games. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. So that wraps it up for the games. Now, let's take a look at the standings. Liverpool has a commanding lead. And I don't know if I should say commanding lead because it's only an 8-point lead. Liverpool is up with 31 points and 8 points clear of second place Manchester City, who's at 23 points. So maybe I guess that's why they say a commanding lead. Liverpool has only lost one game, which was against Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I believe it was Nottingham Forest. So as Liverpool sits in first place with 10 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss at 31 points, I mean, yeah, I would say for now there is a commanding lead. It'll certainly be, if it's not a commanding lead yet, it definitely will be if Liverpool beats Manchester City on the 1st of December. Now, Manchester City is still in second place, but they're only 1 point ahead of Chelsea, Arsenal, and Brighton. And Chelsea, Arsenal, and Brighton are all tied at 22 points, but Chelsea sits at third because of goal differential, obviously. And Arsenal's back in the top 4, and Brighton is at 5th. Tottenham is at 6th. Nottingham Forest is at 7th. Of course, Manchester United now is actually in 12th place with 4 wins, 4 draws, and 4 losses. Southampton, again, is the worst team in the Premier League. And of course, and actually, Leicester City is not in the relegation zone, but they're not too far ahead. I mean, they're only 1 point clear of the relegation zone. 2 spots clear, actually, because they're in 16th place. The relegation zone is Ipswich, Crystal Palace, and Southampton. So if Manchester United, not being able, could have almost losing to a club that's in the relegation zone. Again, as I said, as far as Manchester United goes, it could have been worse, but luckily it was only a draw. But still, that's embarrassing for Manchester United. But once again, the standings of the Premier League: Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Those are the top 4 spots. Now, as far as statistics goes, I mean, stats always kind of change, so I'm not sure if I really want to like that. But here's what I see so far. Of course, Erling Haaland still at the top as far as top scorer goes. Well, I think Mohamed Salah is actually starting to catch up a little bit. I mean, if Erling Haaland continues to have these struggles and Mohamed Salah continues to score, then Mohamed Salah is gonna take that spot. Now, as far as according to what I see, according to the Premier League stats of Goal.com, Erling Haaland is still the top scorer of the Premier League with 12 goals, and in second place you have Mohamed Salah, who's at 10. Now, all the rest of them are tied. So the top 2 scorers in the English Premier League, it's Erling Haaland at 12 and Mohamed Salah at 10. Bukayo Saka still leads the league in assists and is followed by Mohamed Salah. So for Mohamed Salah to have 10 goals and 6 assists so far into the season, even though it kind of seems like the season's been going on for a while now, but we'll still feel like we're in the early phase. Mohamed Salah, at this age, like that, still going strong. Still pretty much the Mohamed Salah that we've known for the last couple of years. So 10 goals for Salah and 6 assists. That puts him in second place so far in both categories, respectively. So, man. Like I said, the competition continues to increase. That means that the excitement continues to increase. And that's that, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you can find Into the Net FC wherever you get your podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Pandora, YouTube, as I said, wherever you get your podcast. And once again, I need to remind everybody that Into the Net FC now has its own YouTube channel. Just look up Into the Net FC. You should be able to find the channel. All the new content will be on that channel moving forward. All old content will remain on the regular channel, but Into the Net FC has its own channel now. So please subscribe to that as well. Thank you all very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a good one, and God bless.